Hello, welcome again to the Get Sustainable show produced by ESPN in partnership with Green Europe Today and Livestream Studio. Today we are spoiled for choice and lucky enough to host two experts from the world-leading consultancy firm Arcadis. My guests today are Joanna Plaisant, ESG and Sustainability Associate Director.
Hello, and thank you very much for your invitation.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Jaroslaw, Witek, Principal ESG Consultant, Expert in Sustainable Building Solutions.
Hello.
Wonderful to have you both here today. Now, Arcadis states that you deliver sustainable design solutions and engineering and consultancy solutions for natural and built assets. In layman terms, what does that entail for somebody who's not an expert on the subject in the context of driving green changes in business?
Sure. Well, we do believe that designers, engineers and consultants can play a key role in reducing emissions and protecting people from harmful effects of the climate change. At Arcadis, we have an extensive experience in delivering client solutions, and those solutions are around biodiversity, water management and conservation, decarbonization and energy transition. And this is how we deliver more value for our clients and the communities we serve. Also, to maximize our impact, Arcadis introduces global sustainability advisory services, which is a response to the growing demand of the clients around building sustainability strategies.
I mean, so it's clear that sustainability is a key aspect of your day-to-day business operations and the work that you deliver for your customers.
Absolutely. Sustainability is in our DNA, not only within our organization, as we've been reporting our operations in all three ESG fields throughout years, but also around serving to the clients and the services. We are very concentrated on buildings, we do aim to provide services that are solutions for buildings to reduce their emissions, but also provide clients with the broad strategies of how to become climate neutral, how to decarbonize their operations, and how to minimize their effect on the climate change.
Now, a key message that usually appears from environmentalists and activists is that we should be demanding less talk and more action from major business and the private sector in general in terms of transitioning to a sustainable economy. Is this criticism justified in your view? And can you provide us with some examples where your work has resulted in some serious company policy changes or major developments in terms of reducing the emissions of a given organization?
Just let me focus on the construction and real estate sectors. I think we are at the beginning of a long journey towards zero carbon buildings. I think the EU legislation is a big help, a big step forward towards achieving the net zero carbon buildings. And I think what we do is we just support the efforts of the investors. We support the efforts of the contractors, of the building owners, and we show them the way how to do that. So I must say, from my own experience and from the projects I've been working on, practically on every single project, we deliver the analysis of the net zero carbon pathway, and we tell the clients how to do that and how much money it should cost. So I think I can't agree that the industry doesn't do anything. No, it does, but it's a very long journey.
Well, let's hope that we can see some major changes as soon as possible, and from what you're saying, that's what we should be expecting in the near future.
Exactly, especially if you look at the existing buildings, existing stock. Those buildings will still exist in 2050, the majority of them at least. So, and it's not an easy task to convert these buildings, mostly inefficient buildings, into zero carbon buildings.
It's a very interesting subject in general, and I hope we can talk a little bit more about that. Okay. Now, Arcadis have run a number of major green projects in Europe and indeed across the globe. So these include, for example, the development in Amsterdam, where you installed solar panels on top of the Johan Cruyff Stadium, which generates now, 10% of the annual energy consumption. Yeah.
Right.
Or developing a digital modelling platform to help assist with water management and preservation of approximately 180 square kilometres of moors in the Donamus region in Germany. Now, what are the key projects that have a significant environmental benefit that you have managed over the years in Poland, and what have you got in the mix for the near future?
Although the majority of the projects in Poland we deliver internally, the team we represent here, the buildings, we had an opportunity to work on a master planning project delivered for the municipality of Chrzanów in Małopolska. It's I would say, a small, maybe not a small town, but just a local community, which is quite significant to me, because it's not a big city. It's not Warsaw, Kraków, or Wrocław.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that such a community decided to provide a better environment for for people who live there. And what we did was we've provided advice, assistance to the architect, master planner. We provided engineering advice on what to do in order to achieve low emitting buildings.
Yeah.
And emission should be understood as embodied carbon and operational carbon, which is quite important. And I would say even it's quite unique in Poland.
Yeah.
It's I would say something, we are pioneers in this scope of work.
Yeah.
But I hope it's going to change soon.
Am I right in thinking that it's adapting the smart city formula at a sort of very small local municipal level, or is this a different initiative altogether?
I think a small city, a smart city, is something understood as full of electronic gadgets which support the management team, the city management team, how to operate the street lighting and other things. But it's something, I would say, at the core of the building industry, because the materials. We focus on the type of materials, on the embodied carbon, how much energy and water has to be utilized in order to produce these materials, in order to deliver to the construction site, and what's also very important, how much carbon will be emitted during the normal operation and decommissioning of buildings.
Now, looking more at your internal ESG activity, what action has Arcadis taken in recent years on its route to reach carbon neutrality in 2050?
I would, if you allow me, I would go back to the previous question.
Yes, of course.
There are the solutions that we deliver in sustainability. We also concentrate on infrastructure, and the team of the sustainability at Arcadis is a global team. So we also support each other in many other projects. So we had a great, I don't know, Jarek, if you remember, the great project in Italy. When we our team in Italy reduced the embodied carbon, like significantly, I don't remember,
Exactly.
60%?
It was a transport hub, and we've influenced the solutions by proposing the majority of materials, of recycled materials, or with huge recycled content. And so I think
and they were delivered by the train. So we didn't use trucks. So they produce a lot of carbon emissions. So we use a train to deliver all the materials. And with this very simple way, we were able to reduce the embodied carbon of a significant value. And I must say that in Poland there is more and more interest and conscious about being sustainable also in infrastructure projects. So we are discussing now the photovoltaics on a Trump station, or we are in logistic area, logistic assets. They will be soon covered, all of them, with photovoltaics, because the market, the real estate market, is not only conscious about the climate change, but they also forced by the legal actions and the European Commission upcoming legislation, which I mean especially the taxonomy for buildings, as buildings are responsible for 40% of energy usage and 36, I believe, percent of carbon emission. So the photovoltaics is something becoming very common, especially when you look at the magazines, and they have at the roofs. Normally they are like a warm island. And instead of creating buildings that way, that produces a lot of heat, we can install photovoltaics. Of course, the best way is at the design stage, but those things are happening already in Poland as well. But across Europe, we notice a lot of interest in from sectors that you would not expect. We've been involved lately in supporting on behalf of European Commission, who supports the project, support the whole project. We are delivering knowledge to Polish airports to get the airport carbon accreditation scheme application. So the airports are thinking about decarbonization. We have been doing this work in UK, but now we're starting to support airports in Poland, which I think is brilliant.
It's very interesting that you're thinking about the whole life cycle of the building and including the process as well. The example you mentioned of transporting the materials by train is a good example of that working in practice. Now going back to the question on your ESG activity internally, what activity have you been taken to drive those changes within your business?
Okay, so to support our sustainability commitments, we've been from 2021, we've committed to the net zero targets. So our net zero commitment will reduce scope 1, 2 and 3 emissions in line with the Science-Based Targets Initiative. Supporting the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is talking about limitation of global warming to 1.5 degree from the pre-industrial levels. And we're going to achieve our net zero through following measures. So we are going to reduce scope 1 and 2 of global greenhouse gas, GHG emissions by 45% by 2025. And from 2019 as a base year, and reduction of scope 3 GHG in terms of business travel related emissions by 35% by 2025, also from using 2019 as a baseline. And the goal is to be neutral by 2035.
Wow.
Okay, and to this we are going, of course, to use a range of short and medium terms milestones, including like source of 100% renewable electricity globally before end of this year, and reduce 50% of emissions caused by domestic and international flights by 2025. We also signed a pledge to net zero, which put us to this commitment to join the Race to Zero. This is also United Nations-backed global campaign aimed to leadership and support from business, cities, regions, investors to take actions to shift to a decarbonized economy.
It's great that you not only have clear targets, but you also have a roadmap in place which will help drive those changes and measure the success at each stage. So good luck with your progress on that. Now, finally, in terms of your social goals, what controlling measures have you implemented within the business to ensure effective governance of your desired changes? How should this be done in a business your size and scale?
Well, first of all, I wanted to stress out that the S factor in ESG is becoming extremely important.
Yeah.
Until now, it was very often compared to the middle child,
Yeah.
like environmental. It is still a revolution for us. Governance is it's partially already in place because of the legal requirements in each country, and the S, social or stakeholders, were always treated like a middle child,
Yeah.
like we don't really know what to do with it. It's becoming now of a significant value. As Arcadis, we are a member of United Nations Global Compact, UNGC, since 2009. And we support the 10 principles regarding 4 areas, which is human rights, labor standards, environmental stewardship, and anti-corruption. Our values, mission, culture, day-to-day operations, and strategy reflect the UNGC principles. Also, our practical actions to implement those 10 principles are included in our annual integrated report from 2021. It's already available on our website. We publish.
Yeah.
Thank you. The reports already for several years, and we included the implementation of the principles, and we not only publish the annual integrated report, but we also submit this report every year to the United Nations Global Compact Office, and this forms a substance for our annual communication of progress, COP. Also, since 2016, we've included the adherence to the United Nations Global Compact requirements into our Arcadis General Business Principles, and we issued Arcadis Human Rights and Labor Rights Policy. Also in 2021, we still continue to be part of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. I would really encourage all the companies to look out on both organizations that I'm mentioning. As we've been involved with many other initiatives from United Nations, like in this year we're celebrating 10 years of pro bono work with UN Habitat in our joint shelter program, providing resilient and sustainable solutions to communities in developing economies. So there are a number of initiatives and number of interesting organizations that you can get involved and have, as you're saying, implement a measure for your actions.
I think the key message is that you should not try and attempt to take on these challenges by yourself, but include partners who have experience in this field and can support you driving.
Absolutely. If you even read the GRI standards, if you report your ESG factors in GRI standards, the partnership is mentioned throughout the whole standards. We believe, and all the big stars in sustainability are stressing out that the partnership is the key to achieve our sustainable development goals, the ones issued by the United Nations in 2015. And this is our aim for all of us. We need to support our governments, we need to support our countries in achieving the so-called SDGs as soon as possible to get the sustainable world, which means to protect the future generations and enable them to satisfy their needs also, and not only by focusing on satisfying our needs here and now.
That's a very inspiring message to end our conversation with. Thank you very much for you both for the time with us today. For those of you who would like to obtain any more information about Arcadis and their work in Poland, please get in touch by direct message on social media or email us at contact@greeneuropetoday.com. If your business places ESG at the heart of your strategy, then we would love to hear your story. Thank you very much for watching and see you again soon. Goodbye.